Hello, everyone. It's time for Advanced Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanis. This is episode 258, season 11. Today's date is September 24th, 2023, and welcome to the show. On today's program, I will talk about the Hamburger Hamlet Restaurants. It was a chain of restaurants that were in Chicago. Also, Chicago Sun-Times advice columnist and TV personality Dorsey Connors. So we have an interesting show coming up. But first, we're going to go into a commercial break. And this program is brought to you by Minute Maid Lemonade Crystals. And so I'm going to play that commercial. And if you try to recognize the actress who's speaking in the commercial, she has a very familiar voice, and she's from the one of the most famous sitcoms of the 1950s. So I will reveal who it is after I play the commercial. So sit back and relax, and I'll be back with the show. Thank you, everyone.
Artificial flavors or colors in our lemonade? Never. We use new Minute Maid lemonade crystals. It's made from lemon juice with no artificial flavors or colors. In fact, it's the only mix with no artificial flavors or colors.
Tastes great.
Naturally, it's from the makers of Minute Maid. New Minute Maid lemonade crystals. Natural lemon taste and natural lemon color.
Minute Maid. Goodness you can taste.
This episode is brought to you by Google. The Google Cybersecurity Certificate provides the necessary skills to begin a career in cybersecurity. Visit safety.google/cyberworkforce today.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Minute Maid Lemonade Crystals. The actress that spoke in the commercial was none other than actress Jane Wyatt, best known as Margaret Anderson from the TV sitcom from the 1950s, Father Knows Best. Excuse me. I used to watch the show all the time on Channel 9, the reruns on WGN. It's a great show. I have it on DVD. It started with Robert Young and Eleanor Donahue, Lauren Chapin, and Billy Gray. So she sounds so very classy. She was a great actor. She had that good voice, She reminded me of Natalie Schaefer from Gilligan's Island, I remember this product. My mom bought it a few times when I was in high school. It was pretty good because I love lemonade. I really did. It's one of my favorite drinks, and it wasn't bad. I prefer lemonade to soda, or any thirst quenching. So that's good. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I mentioned I'm going to talk about the Hamburger Hamlet Restaurants in Chicago. Also, Chicago Sun-Times advice columnist and TV personality Dorsey Connors. But before I get started, I want to mention a couple things. Let's see. Number one, it's an anniversary. I have an anniversary. Today's the 60th anniversary of the TV show Petticoat Junction, that starred B. Benaderet and Edgar Buchanan as Uncle Joe. I love the beginning of the show. He used to just sleep in front of the hotel. And of course, we remember the three girls, Betty Jo, Bobby Jo, and Billy Jo, played by different actresses, except Betty Jo, that's played by Linda Henning. She was the daughter of the creator, Paul Henning, who also created the Beverly Hillbillies and Green Acres. The first time I saw this show was on Channel 32, WFLD TV, around in the evening in the early 70s. Yeah, I watched the reruns. It's a great show. They never showed the black and white seasons. That was like the first two seasons. Only the color ones, for some strange reason. But a few years ago, I bought the DVD for the first two seasons. I don't think I bought the third one. That was in color, but I watched it once, a few episodes. It was pretty good. You know, that was like in the beginning, like that, and it ran from 1963 to 1970, and it's still rerun. I think on MeTV. I think it's still there. I'm not sure. Probably early in the morning, But we always like that theme song. You know, like when the train is riding on the tracks and it leads you to the Shady Rest Hotel. He also had the dog. His name was Dog. Actually, I don't know what is his name. I don't know. He was a Benji. He played Benji in the movies. Yeah, he was a cute dog. I don't think that's his real name. I'm not sure. I used to watch the Benji movies. He was a smart dog like that. Okay, the second thing I want to mention, I found out some terrible news today that my high school friend, his name was Gus Harvett, he died. Actually, he died last month, and I found out today. I had no idea. I'm still sad about it. The reason I'm sad because when I first started at Bogan High School in freshman year, I first knew him. He was one of my few friends, and we were in gym class together. And he made me laugh, and he had this weird, kind of offensive sense of humor. He had that up to the end. He was great, and yeah, I saw him a few times in high school. Then we lost touch, and then we got reunited from the reunions, and from what I heard, he was a magician, and he performed places. And then he got sick afterwards, and he was in a wheelchair. The last time I saw him was the 40th anniversary, 40th reunion in 2021, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was so happy to see me. I was so happy to see him. Oh, that poor guy. And so I posted it on Facebook on the Bogan High School reunion page. Another friend of mine posted that earlier, and I posted on my page, and I told him, Gus, I miss you. We will all miss you. He knew a lot of classmates. He was special. He was funny. I heard he was a big Kiss fan of the band. He loved that. But I will miss him terribly. Okay. Right now I'm going to play, no, I'm not going to play. I'm going to talk about the Hamburger Hamlet Restaurant that was in Chicago. So I'll give you a little history of this place. It was a chain of restaurants based in Los Angeles. It opened in 1950. And the owners were actor Harry Lewis and his future wife, Marilyn. They got married a couple of years later. Harry Lewis was an actor. Well, he not very famous actor. He did supporting roles. He was in, let's see, for example, he was in Key Largo. He was in Gun Crazy. He did some television. He was also in the Ten Commandments. Was in that. And then in 1950, him and his girlfriend then opened the Hamburger Hamlet Restaurant. And it was located, it was on the Sunset Strip. It was on Sunset Boulevard. And it became very successful. And they opened about 24 restaurants. And not just in LA, also in Chicago and Washington, D.C. And it was known as their exotic combinations of toppings put it on a hamburger, not like today. But it was sort of unheard of back then. Like, for example, you had a bacon cheeseburger with a Russian dressing, or you had a little fried onions or tomato relish. And they had other types of foods as well. The locations of the place, it took me a while to find it, In Chicago, it was at the Gold Coast neighborhood at 1024 North Rush Street, but it was also 44 East Walton Street. I don't know if that's the same address. I think it is. It could be either. I heard it's a very, I have a photo of that on my files. And there was outdoor dining, and I heard inside was very like a pub-like uh, decor, like that. I've never went to this place. I wish I did, because I love hamburgers. I can eat one every day. I should have went there, but I never had the opportunity to it. It also had three other locations. One was at Vernon Hills, Illinois, 10,000 Lakeview Parkway. It's probably near Hawthorne Center, I imagine. Also in Glenview, 1432 Waukegan Road, and also in Wheaton at 51 Town Square. And I found a menu of the Hamburger Hamlet, and let's see. So let's see what we have here. They had other foods like that. Also, they served liquor, beer, wine, appetizers like that. I sound like I'm talking about Bennigan's like that. They had soup. Excuse me. They had soups and all that. The burgers they had one was the big Hamlet burger. Came with French fries and special green salad. Like for example, they had the big guacamole burger. They had or Russian dressing or barbecue sauce. Or you had a chili burger, you had onions. Also bacon, I mentioned. Also American cheese, or you want everything on it. Lettuce, tomato, pickles, Also saute mushroom burger with sour cream and yummy melted cheese. I'm not a big mushroom fan. And they had ratatouille burger. Okay. And let's see. They also had gourmet burgers. Like grilled onions and marinara sauce. Let's see what else they got. They had any type of burger you want like that. They had the mighty brunch burger. They had one with Swiss cheese and all that patty melt. Anything you want like that. It was great. It sounded wonderful. It really did sound wonderful. It went in business. It was in business for quite a while, and but in LA, it was very famous because a lot of celebrities went there. At the time, and they loved that place. They loved that. There was another burger they had. It's called the Emperor Henry the Fourth burger, which came with ham and bacon and Russian dressing. Oh my God. Also, they started bunless burgers. If you don't want carbs in your diet, I can't resist. I love bread. On a burger, I can't. How do you eat on a burger? You take a knife and fork and just eat like that? That was strange, like that. Okay, and let's see what else. So they were in business for quite a while, and then they started closing, though they filed for Chapter 11 in Chicago. I don't know about Washington, D.C. So like in the suburban areas, like for Glenview, Wheaton, and Vernon Hills, they closed, and then but the one in the downtown on not on Rush Street remained open for quite a while, and that happened in 1995, and so I don't know when it closed, probably late 90s later on, but and then in the one in California, I think it closed recently. They've been closing down like that. And let's see. Yeah, so it was around 2014 that the ones in California closed. And then the owner, Harry Lewis, he died in June 9th, 2013. And yeah, I don't know if his wife is still alive. No, I don't think she is. And then they probably closed right after. And I don't know about their children that they wanted to take it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, his wife died 2017. about 4 years later. I don't know if his children wanted to continue the business after Dad, but maybe there were some problems, financial. And but it was very memorable in the Chicagoland area. I remember I posted a photo of the Hamburger Hamlet quite a few years ago, and people remembered it, and they loved that restaurant. They really loved it. It was like the hamburgers were delicious, and it's just like Fuddruckers, but it wasn't really like Fuddruckers. So you can still find memorabilia of this place on eBay, like, for example, ashtrays, menus, matchbooks. You can find that. And, I totally forgot about this place. Then again, I wish I went there. I want to try it. Oh, well. So that's it for the Hamburger Hamlet burger restaurants. Right now, I'm going to talk about the advice columnist for the Chicago Sun-Times and TV personality, Dorsey Connors. Now, a lot of people did not remember her, but she was very well known in the 1950s and 60s. And she was sort of like Martha Stewart in those days. On her TV show, she had her own name. It was called Dorsey Connors. And she had a show that ran about 15 minutes, probably in the afternoon or in the evening. And she would give household hints, and she did arts and crafts, and and she demonstrated or like household hints. If you want to get stains out of clothes or anything that's useful around the house, like that. So I found a clip on YouTube, and it explains something to do with nail polish, and she's also has a sponsor, and it's for Sawyer Townhouse Crackers. She says Sayer. I don't know if it's Sayer or Sawyer. I thought it was Sawyer. I will explain more about her and the product that she's endorsing. This clip is about 4 minutes long. So that's the only clip I could find. So you would hear her voice, and it's kind of cool to go back and see like that. Nothing flashy, nothing state of the art, just her speaking and explaining a household hint. So here is Dorsey Connors, with a household hint. Thank you, everyone. I'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. That bottle of nail polish that you have around the house comes in handy for a lot of things other than just making someone's nails look very pretty. For instance, if you want to mark tools for good identification, you don't have to drag out the enamel or the can of paint, because just a touch with some nail polish will tell just who the tools belong to. It's a very good idea for your garden tools, because so often garden tools are so much alike, and a neighbor just absent-mindedly might pick up your tool, so mark it with nail polish. And if you're going to do a paint job that requires a brush, then if you have the trouble that I always have, of when I'm trying to paint anything that's on a surface above me, the paint runs down the brush, down the handle of the brush, and onto my hand. And I found that by cutting a hollow rubber ball in half, putting a slit in it so it will slip over the handle of the brush, all of the paint drippings will go down into the half of the hollow ball and not on my hand. I also found something that you can do with the other half of the rubber ball, too. If you have a small plaster job to do, a very small plaster job, if you mix a little bit of plaster in the other half of the rubber ball, it's a wonderful kind of a container for plaster, and then when you finish the job and the plaster hardens, you simply move the half of the hollow ball around like this, and out comes the plaster. For any kind of a paint job that's going to require just a little bit of paint, this is just about the handiest container that I have ever seen. It's a milk carton, and you can cut it, of course, to any size that you want to hold as much paint as you want, and then when you finish the job, you can simply throw it away. Really, I think that we should hang on to all of our milk containers because they come in very handy for a lot of purposes. If you split your milk cartons in half like this, lengthwise, you'll find that they're great in the refrigerator. Leftover foods, and especially foods that have any kind of an odor, such as fish. If you put them in the refrigerator in the split half of a milk carton, well, of course, you can just throw it away when you're finished with it. And, too, it's awfully nice to take them on a trip if you're taking your doggie along because they make nice little feeding dishes for Rover. Well, whether you're going to be away or you're staying at home, there's one thing that I hope you always have on your pantry shelf, and that's a big box of Sawyer Townhouse crackers. Because you see, Sawyer Townhouse crackers are awfully good with any kind of food. They somehow or other seem to bring out the best in every food, and all by themselves they're a wonderful snack. I've been telling you for quite some time about Sawyer Townhouse crackers, and I suppose you've seen our ads in the paper and the big billboards. But you know, there's only one way you really can tell how fine Sawyer Townhouse crackers are, and that's by actually eating them. And you remember that Sawyer Townhouse crackers are oval-shaped. They're oval-shaped, which makes them very smart and very modern in appearance. And not only that, but it makes them just right for 2 bites. And 2 of the best bites that you've ever seen in your life or ever tasted in your life. And there are no crumbs with Townhouse crackers, so that you never have to worry about sweeping up crumbs when your family eats Sawyer Townhouse crackers. You'll find them in this great big red and yellow box, or in the new 7-ounce size, on the shelves of your favorite grocer or delicatessen, or at the Jewel, the A&P, the Kroger, and the National Superfood Mart. And be sure that you ask for Sawyer Townhouse crackers. And good? Well, of course they're good. They're Sawyer.
Okay, everyone, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that little clip from Dorsey Connors. She, like I said before, she was like the Martha Stewart of that era. Also, she wrote for the Chicago Sun-Times. She was an advice columnist. I don't know if she was like Ann Landers or Dear Abby. I'm not sure. Probably not. So, she wrote. She was there until the 2000s, and she was there from the 1950s and 60s. She also appeared on the Today Show. You know, she talked about fashions and all that. She broke into television when WGN started in 1948 and hosting personality profiles. That was one of the earliest shows. And then she went to Channel 5, and that was called WNBQ, not WMAQ back then. And like I said, she had a 15-minute show. You know, she did that. Kind of like Lee Phillip. Remember? Yeah, Lee Phillips, like that. And she continued her column all the way to almost to the end, like that. So most of the advice she gave was not love. It was just like household hints. So you would read the Sun Times, and there she was, and she would do that, and she always used a manual typewriter, not like today what we use. Like that. Remember word processing in the 80s? I ought to talk about that sometime. And she would just, like I said, she was amazing. She really was. She seemed like a very nice lady. Very nice indeed. And like that. And let's see what else. So, I don't know if she did interviews on the show. Maybe she did. I'm not, but she did start on the radio, probably Chicago radio, I would imagine. So that was like in the 1940s, like that. So, let's see what else. And then she passed away on, let's see, it was like September 5th, 2007. And I don't know, but she never gave her age. So I think she was like in her mid 90s. She lived a very long life, you know. Also, not just household tips she gave on her columns or on her TV show, she also gave advice on common sense, to people. We sure need that today. Because some people don't do that. They don't use common sense. They just do other things that you're like scratching your head and you would say, what? What are you doing? Ridiculous. Like that. Okay. So that's it for this show. I'll do a recap of what I talked about. I talked about the Hamburger Hamlet Restaurants in Chicago. That was a chain of hamburger restaurants. Also, Chicago Sun-Times advice columnist and TV personality Dorsey Connors. This podcast will be published later on today, wherever podcasts are available: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Also, just subscribe and you'll get a notification for a new episode. Also, it'll be on my blog, vanishchicagoland.blog, and also on my YouTube channel, Vanish Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. People have asked me every day, where do I find your podcast? Where do I listen? Some people are not computer savvy. I can understand that. Just go to YouTube, do a search. If you find it, please subscribe and listen to the episode. You can listen to past episodes if you like. They're all there, all 257 of them for you to choose. Yeah, it'll take all day like that. Also, it'll be posted on my social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter. Also, the link will be on Instagram and Threads. You can do that. Whatever is easier for you. You have any questions? Contact me, message me. I'll be happy to help. Okay. So this is Pete Costanis, your host of Vanish Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today is a nice day. I went for a walk yesterday, a little bit. My foot still hurts a little bit, but I did 30 laps and I was fine. Everything's okay. I don't want to strain myself. So I might do that again this afternoon, and everyone's going to watch the Bears game. Of course, it's Sunday, well, that's fine. Me, I'm just going to have lunch and relax. That's what I'm going to do. And when the podcast is ready, I'll publish it. Okay. So everyone have a good rest of the weekend. I will do another episode probably Tuesday. I'll think of what I'm going to discuss. Might be something interesting. We'll see. Okay. So here's bye-bye for me. And here's Ray Rainier with a little traveling music saying bye, bye, bye. Take care, everyone, and so long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.